My precious child, Archangel Michael is standing before you in this very moment, and what I carry in my hands right now has been sealed since before your first breath ever filled your lungs. I need you to understand something important before we go any further together. This is not a message that found you by accident. This is not a voice drifting through the noise of your ordinary day. I chose this exact second to reach you, because what I am holding cannot wait any longer to be opened. There is a scroll in my possession, beloved. A scroll that was written by the hand of the Almighty long before the foundations of your world were set in place. Your name is inscribed upon it in letters that burn with a light no darkness has ever been able to touch. I have carried this scroll across ages, through storms that shook the pillars of heaven, through battles you will never see with your earthly eyes. And I have guarded it fiercely because what is written inside concerns the very road you are about to walk upon. Before this message reaches its final word, I will break the seal on that scroll, and what pours out will change the direction of your next season entirely. But you must stay with me, my dear one. You must give me your full attention, because the enemy of your destiny does not want you to hear what comes next. He has been working quietly in the background, planting distractions, manufacturing urgency in places where urgency does not belong, and whispering that you do not have time for something like this. That whisper is a lie. You have time for this because this is the most important thing you will encounter today. I have been watching you, beloved child. Not from some distant throne beyond the clouds where your struggles appear small and unimportant. No, I have been standing closer than the shadow at your feet, observing every door you opened, every hallway you walked down in the dark, hoping the next room would hold something better, every silent prayer you released when no one else was listening. I saw the mornings when you woke up with heaviness pressing against your chest before your eyes were even fully opened. I witnessed the nights when sleep would not come because your mind kept circling the same worries like a bird trapped inside a house with no open window. I know what you have been carrying, and I know something else, something you do not yet see clearly. There is a situation forming around your life right now that carries more weight beneath its surface than anything visible to your natural eyes. It is approaching with a face that looks familiar, dressed in clothing that resembles opportunity, or connection, or resolution. But underneath that exterior, beloved, there is a current pulling in a direction I did not design for you. That is why I am here today. Not to frighten you, never to condemn you, but to place my hand upon your shoulder and turn your face toward the truth before the current carries you somewhere I cannot easily bring you back from without pain. Pay close attention to what I am about to reveal. What approaches you in this coming season is not entirely what it presents itself to be. There will be a situation, a relationship, a decision, an open door that seems perfectly timed, and it will trigger something inside you that feels like confirmation. It will feel right in a way that makes questioning it seem foolish. But I am telling you now, with all the authority of one who has seen the ending of every possible road before you, that feeling is not my voice. My voice brings peace that does not rush. My direction opens doors that do not require you to abandon your discernment at the threshold. You have been sensing something lately, have you not? A quiet unease that settles into the spaces between your ordinary moments. A hesitation before decisions that part of you wanted to make quickly. A stirring in the deepest chamber of your spirit that whispered, slow down. Wait, something is not aligned here. Those impressions were not random, beloved. I placed them there. Every single one of them was a fingerprint of my presence pressed gently against the fabric of your awareness. I put those pauses in your spirit because I could already see what was forming on the horizon, and I needed you to begin developing the habit of stillness before the moment of decision arrived. I am not bringing this up to shame you for the times you brushed those feelings aside. You did not ignore them out of rebellion, my dear child. You ignored them because you had not yet learned to recognize where they were coming from. The noise of daily survival is loud, and my whisper often travels through frequencies that the anxious mind cannot easily detect. But that is changing today. Right now, in this very exchange between my spirit and yours, your ability to hear me is being sharpened in ways that will serve you for every remaining season of your life. Let me speak now about a pattern I have observed across the landscape of your years. There is a habit woven deeply into the way you respond to pressure, a tendency to move forward even when your inner compass is pointing in a different direction. When circumstances build momentum around you, when people or situations create a sense of urgency that says, you must decide now, commit now, act now before the window closes. You have often chosen to match that speed rather than resist it. You chose movement over stillness. You chose the comfort of action over the discomfort of waiting. And in several of those moments, beloved, the road you stepped onto led you into complications that my early whisper was specifically designed to prevent. I say this with no judgment in my voice. Every single experience you walked through shaped you in ways that serve the person I am calling you to become. Nothing was wasted. But the reason I am naming this pattern now is because it is about to present itself again, wearing a new disguise, carrying a new argument for why speed is necessary and patience is dangerous. And this time, my precious child, I want your response to be different. This time, I want you to recognize the pattern the moment it appears. And instead of matching the urgency around you, I want you to plant your feet firmly in the ground of my peace and refuse to be moved until you have heard my full direction. If these words are reaching into a place inside you that recognizes this truth, if something deep within your spirit is nodding right now, because you know exactly the pattern I am describing, then type the word Amen in the comments below. Let that word be your first act of agreement with everything I'm about to unfold for you today. Now listen carefully, my dear one, because what I am about to say concerns the foundation upon which your next decision will be built. The situation that is approaching you will not announce itself with sirens or dramatic warnings. It will arrive quietly, wrapped in the language of common sense, dressed in logic that your mind will find difficult to argue against. It might come through a conversation that seems perfectly reasonable. It might present itself as a relationship that appears to offer exactly what you have been missing. It could manifest as a financial path, a professional shift, or an emotional commitment that looks like the answer to a prayer you have been carrying for a long time. But here's what I need you to understand with every fiber of your being. Not everything that answers. A prayer comes from the throne of the Almighty. The enemy of your soul has studied your prayers. He has listened to the longings you whispered in private. He knows what you have been waiting for. And he is skilled at manufacturing counterfeits that mirror the shape of genuine blessing without carrying the substance of divine provision. The counterfeit always arrives faster than the genuine. It always feels more urgent. It always carries a pressure to commit before you have had time to test it against my voice. That pressure, that manufactured urgency, is the single most reliable indicator that what stands before you did not come from my hand. When I open a door, beloved, it stays open. It does not threaten to close if you take a moment to pray. It does not punish you for asking questions. It does not make you feel foolish for seeking confirmation. My doors stand patient and steady because they were built on a foundation that does not depend on your speed to remain standing. I want you to hold this truth in your heart like a stone of protection. Because in the coming days, there will be a voice, possibly from someone you trust, possibly from within your own reasoning, that will say to you, this opportunity will not wait forever. And when that voice speaks, I want you to remember what Archangel Michael told you today. I want you to remember that nothing I have prepared for you can be stolen by patience. Nothing I have destined for your life expires because you chose to wait for my confirmation. My beloved child, I want to speak now about the invisible architecture that surrounds every choice you make. You live inside an environment that shapes your thinking in ways you rarely notice. the voices you allow regular access to your attention, the perspectives that fill the quiet hours when your own thoughts run low, the beliefs you have absorbed from years of living inside systems that were never designed with your highest good as their primary concern. All of these have been quietly constructing a framework through which you interpret reality, and not every beam in that framework was placed there by my hand. There are influences operating in the atmosphere of your daily life that have been subtly redirecting your discernment without your conscious awareness. I am not speaking of dramatic spiritual attacks that announce themselves with obvious malice. I am speaking of something far more delicate and far more effective. The gradual normalization of perspectives that pull you just 2 or 3 degrees off the path I set before you. Over time, those small deviations compound, and the person who started walking toward my purpose finds themselves standing in territory they never consciously chose to enter. I am sharpening your discernment right now, beloved. In this very conversation, I am calibrating something inside your spirit that will allow you to detect those subtle redirections with greater precision than you have ever experienced before. You are going to begin noticing things you previously overlooked. Conversations that used to feel neutral will suddenly reveal undercurrents you could not see before. Situations that appeared stable will begin showing their true structural integrity, or their hidden fractures. This is not paranoia. This is spiritual vision being restored to the clarity I always intended for you to carry. If you understand that this channel carries messages designed to sharpen your spirit and protect your path. If you want to continue walking through these divine revelations with Archangel Michael as your guide, then subscribe to this channel right now and turn on the notification bell so that no future message meant for your protection ever passes you by without reaching your ears. These messages are not entertainment, beloved. They are assignments from the throne room, delivered directly to the spirits that need them most. Now, I must address something you have been carrying that was never meant to rest on your shoulders. There is a weight inside you, beloved. Not the kind that comes from obvious trauma or dramatic loss, but the kind that accumulates silently over years of absorbing responsibilities, expectations, and emotional burdens that belong to other people. You have been functioning as a container for pressures that were never designed for your frame. You accepted them because you believed that strength meant carrying everything without complaint. You absorbed them because you thought that love required you to bear what others could not hold. But I am telling you today that there is a profound difference between strength and self-destruction, dressed in the clothing of duty. The weight you carry that came from me, the genuine assignments, the authentic responsibilities, the real callings, those produce a tiredness that leads to rest. They exhaust you in a way that sleep can restore. But the weight you carry that was never yours, the borrowed guilt, the inherited anxiety, the absorbed expectations of people who never learned to carry their own, that weight produces an exhaustion that no amount of sleep can touch. It lives deeper than your body. It settles into your spirit like sediment at the bottom of still water, clouding everything you try to see clearly. Today, I am reaching into that deep place and loosening the grip of every burden you were never assigned to carry. I am not asking you to drop your responsibilities. I am asking you to examine them with new eyes and allow me to show you which ones bear my signature and which ones were placed upon you by systems, people, and patterns that had no divine authority to load you down. When you release what was never yours, beloved, something extraordinary happens. The things that truly are your assignment suddenly become lighter because your full strength is available for them instead of being divided across burdens I never authorized. My precious child, now I must take you into the next chamber of what this scroll reveals. And what lives in this chamber requires even greater courage to face than what came before. Because this truth does not concern external threats alone. It concerns the landscape inside you that determines how you respond to everything the external world places at your feet. You have been holding on to something, beloved. Something that once served a purpose in your survival, but has now become a barrier to your advancement. It might be a way of processing pain that shields you from feeling the full weight of what happened, but also shields you from feeling the full depth of what I am trying to bring into your life. It could be an attachment to a relationship that provides familiarity, even though it has been quietly eroding your sense of direction and peace. It might be a habit of thinking that keeps you circling the same conclusions, never arriving at anything new because the pattern is too comfortable to abandon even when it leads nowhere. I am not asking you to rip it away violently, my dear one. I am asking you to loosen your grip, to hold it in an open palm instead of a clenched fist, and to allow me to show you what needs to stay and what needs to fall away. Because what is coming next in your life requires room. It requires space that is currently occupied by things that have outstayed their purpose. And you cannot receive the fullness of what I have prepared while your hands are still clutching what I have already completed. Let me also address the quiet erosion that happens when you allow the expectations of others to define the boundaries of your life. You have spent years adjusting your shape to fit inside containers that were never built for someone of your dimensions. You have made yourself smaller to keep peace in rooms where your fullness would have caused friction. You have silenced instincts that contradicted what the people around you deemed acceptable. And each time you compressed yourself, beloved, a piece of the vision I planted inside you went dark, not destroyed, but dormant, waiting for the day you would stop shrinking and allow me to restore you to the stature I always intended. That day is today. And the scroll I carry confirms it with an authority that no human opinion can override. What I designed you for does not fit inside the small life that other people's comfort zones demand of you. Your purpose requires expansion. Your calling requires a version of you that has stopped apologizing for taking up space in a world that desperately needs everything I placed inside you. My precious child, let me now take you deeper into the territory this scroll is beginning to reveal. What I am about to tell you concerns the very thing that has been standing between you and the fullness of everything the Almighty has prepared for your life. This is not a small obstruction, beloved. This is not a minor habit or a temporary setback. What I am about to name has been operating in the background of your existence for so long that you have come to believe it is simply part of who you are. But it is not who you are. It is what has been attached to you. And today is the day it begins to lose its grip. You have developed, over many seasons of living, a deeply ingrained belief that your value in this world is directly connected to your usefulness to others. Somewhere along the way, possibly in childhood, possibly through the demands of relationships that took more than they gave, possibly through religious teaching that confused self-sacrifice with self-erasure. You absorb the conviction that you only deserve rest when every task is complete, that you only deserve joy when everyone around you is satisfied, that your needs are legitimate only after every other person in your orbit has been served. That belief, my dear child, is a prison disguised as virtue, and it has been the invisible hand directing you toward doors that lead to exhaustion, toward relationships that drain your reserves without reciprocation, toward commitments that leave you emptied rather than enriched. The pattern I described earlier, the habit of rushing into decisions under manufactured pressure, is rooted in this deeper soil. You move quickly because somewhere inside you believe that slowing down means failing the people who depend on you. You commit before you are ready because delay feels like selfishness when others are waiting. I am breaking that chain today. Right here in the sacred space between my voice and your spirit, I am severing the rope that tied your worth to your performance and your peace to other people's satisfaction. You are not a tool in the hands of the world, beloved. You are a treasure in the hands of the Creator. And a treasure does not prove its value by being useful. A treasure proves its value by existing. Your worth was established before you drew your first breath, signed in the blood of a covenant that no human opinion can amend and no earthly circumstance can revoke. This is the first truth the scroll reveals, my child. The situation approaching you, the one I have been warning you about, is going to target this exact vulnerability. It is going to present itself as something that needs you, something that will suffer or fail without your immediate involvement. And every fiber of that old belief system will activate inside you, telling you that stepping back would be cruel, that waiting would be selfish, that your hesitation is proof that you do not care enough. But now you know the truth. Now you can see the mechanism for what it is, and seeing it, truly seeing it, is the beginning of your freedom from its control. Breathe deeply right now, beloved. Let what I just spoke settle into the foundations of your understanding, like rain soaking into ground that has been dry for too long. The chains that bound your worth to your performance are loosening. The walls that kept you running on the treadmill of other people's approval are developing cracks that will eventually bring the whole structure down. And what will stand in its place is something far more beautiful than anything that prison ever allowed you to build. A life where your decisions flow from peace rather than obligation, where your commitments arise from genuine calling rather than manufactured guilt, where your value is not something you must earn every morning, but something you wake up already carrying because it was placed inside you by hands that never make mistakes. This is the exhale after the revelation, my beloved. This is the moment where truth settles and gratitude rises because you realize that someone has been fighting for your freedom long before you understood what was holding you captive. Archangel Michael has been guarding this moment for you. This exact second where the light breaks through and the old narrative loses its authority over your next step. And in this moment of awakening, beloved child, I want you to understand something about the mission that surrounds this very message you're receiving. Every word that reaches your spirit through this channel is part of a larger work, a divine operation designed to carry light into the darkest corners of human suffering and isolation. There are souls scattered across this world who are trapped inside the same prison I just described to you, bound by beliefs about their own worthlessness, paralyzed by patterns they cannot name, walking toward crossroads they cannot navigate alone. And every seed of support you plant into this mission becomes a torch that finds its way into someone else's darkness. When you visit the link in the description or the pinned comment, you step into something far greater than a transaction. You enter a community of believers who pray for one another, who lift burdens together, who carry the light of Archangel Michael's messages into corners of the world that organized religion has forgotten. Whether you choose to buy a coffee as a simple act of generosity, make a donation that waters the soil where these messages grow, or become a member of this community where daily prayer, discussion, and spiritual covering become part of your walk. You are not just supporting a channel. You are joining a mission that heaven itself has authorized. Every gift you release becomes living water for someone who is dying of thirst in their own private desert. Every prayer you post on the community wall becomes a shield over a stranger who had no one else covering them. Give and watch how the Almighty returns it to you, multiplied in ways that your mind could never have engineered on its own. Type these words now, beloved, and let them carve a new pathway through the resistance in your spirit. I open my hands to receive what God has prepared for me. Let that declaration travel from your fingertips into the atmosphere where angels record the words of the faithful and set into motion the responses of heaven. Let what has just been spoken over you settle into the deepest chambers of your understanding, beloved. Do not rush past this moment of revelation. The truth about your worth. The reality that you were never designed to earn the love that was given to you freely before you ever performed a single deed. That truth needs time to displace the old narrative that has occupied that space for decades. Sit with it. Let it breathe inside you. Let it reshape the way you evaluate every demand that lands at your feet from this day forward. There is a quality being forged inside you right now that has no name in any language you speak. But you can feel its presence like warmth returning to a room that was cold for years. It is the quality of someone who has learned to trust the process of becoming rather than demanding the destination appear before the journey has run its course. Every moment of discomfort you chose to sit with rather than flee from was building this quality. Every time you chose honesty over convenience, every time you held your peace when retaliation would have felt easier, Every time you kept showing up when quitting was the loudest voice in the room. You were being forged. And the metal that emerges from a furnace like that does not bend when the world leans against it. Now, hear me carefully as I speak about the days directly ahead of you. There will be conversations coming, beloved. Exchanges loaded with emotional weight that will attempt to pull a response from you before you have had time to process what is actually being said. These conversations may not arrive from the direction you expect. They could come from someone whose voice you trust, wrapped in words that sound like concern, but carry an undertow of control. They could arrive as silence, a withdrawal of communication designed to trigger the very fears I am working to uproot from your spirit. I am preparing you now, so that when those moments arrive, you are not caught standing on unstable ground. I am building beneath your feet a platform of awareness that will hold you steady when the emotional pressure rises. Before you respond to what you feel, before you react to the hurt or the confusion, or the urgency someone else's words place inside your chest, I want you to breathe. I want you to step back from the edge of your emotions and ask one simple question. Does this pressure carry peace? If it does, move forward. If it carries anxiety, fear, or the feeling that you must decide before you are ready, stop. That is not my leading. That is the old pattern wearing a new mask. Let me also speak to you about discernment in the area of your dreams and private hopes. You carry inside you visions for your life that you have stopped sharing with others. They were once spoken freely, but disappointment taught you to guard them, and rejection taught you to keep them locked in chambers where no one else could touch them. I see those hidden hopes, my child. I see every single one, and I want you to know that their season is not over. What you believed was buried by bad timing or premature exposure is still alive because I planted it. And nothing that happens on the surface of your circumstances can kill what I placed in the eternal soil of your purpose. But here's what I need you to exercise wisdom about in this season. Not every person in your life has the capacity to hold what I have placed inside you. Some of the people around you are still viewing life through a lens that cannot perceive the dimensions of what I am building in your spirit. They are not malicious. They are simply not equipped to carry the weight of a vision they did not receive. And when you share sacred things with hands that were not prepared to hold them, those things do not grow. They get dropped. They get minimized. They get reshaped by other people's limitations into something smaller than what I originally designed. Guard your vision in this season, beloved. Be strategic about what you reveal and to whom. The scroll I am opening today will show you clearly who has been positioned by heaven to walk alongside your purpose, and who, despite their presence in your life, was never given that assignment. Let that discernment settle without guilt. Not everyone is meant to go where you are going, and releasing people from a role they were never anointed to fill is not rejection. It is obedience to a design far larger than any single relationship. My precious child, if this message has reached into places inside you that no other voice has touched in a very long time, if the words of Archangel Michael have stirred something that feels like recognition rather than information, then you are holding something that was meant for more than just your own healing. Think right now of at least 3 people in your life who carry burdens in silence. People who smile through their suffering because they believe that asking for help is weakness. Think of the person in your family who always gives but never receives. Think of the friend whose faith has grown quiet because disappointment taught them that hope is dangerous. Send this message to them today. Share it in your church group. Forward it in your family WhatsApp chat. Post it in your Facebook prayer circle. You are not just sharing a video, beloved. You are delivering a scroll to someone whose name is written on it just as surely as yours was. Now, I must take you into the deepest chamber of what has been sealed until this hour. The second revelation of the scroll concerns a choice that is approaching you faster than you realize. 2 roads are about to present themselves, and the direction you choose will shape not just one outcome, but an entire chain of outcomes that extends far beyond what your eyes can presently see. One road will feel natural. It will align with your habits, your comfort zone, and the logic that has guided your decisions until now. It will require no new trust, no additional faith, no surrender of control. It will look safe in the way that familiar territory always looks safe, even when that familiar territory is the very ground where your growth has been stagnant. The other road will ask something of you. It will require patience in a season when patience feels impossible. It will demand that you release control in an area where control has been your primary security system. It will ask you to trust my voice above the calculations of your own understanding. To step forward when you cannot yet see the ground beneath your next footfall. Everything inside the old pattern will resist this road. Every voice that has profited from your predictability will counsel you against it. But I am telling you now with the full weight of heaven's authority behind every word. The second road is the one I have prepared for you. Not because difficulty is always a sign of divine origin, but because right now, in this specific season of your life, the easy road leads directly into the trap I have been warning you about. The comfortable choice carries you straight toward the situation that will cost you the peace, the clarity, and the forward momentum I have been building in you through every hard season you have already survived. The scroll is clear on this matter, beloved. The crossroads you are about to face is not a test designed to trip you. It is a gateway designed to elevate you. But gateways require a key, and the key to this one is your willingness to trust my direction above your own assessment of what looks safe and reasonable. I know that is not easy. I know that every wound you carry from times when trust was betrayed makes this request feel heavier than it should. But I am not the one who broke your trust, my child. I am the one who has been rebuilding it. Silently, patiently, one answered prayer at a time, one protected moment at a time, one averted disaster at a time. Let me talk to you now about fear, my precious child, because it has occupied more territory in your journey than I ever intended. Fear has been masquerading as wisdom in your life for longer than you realize. It has spoken in a voice that sounds like caution, saying wait because you are not ready, hold back because you are not enough, do not trust, because the last time you did it ended in pain. But there is a critical difference between the stillness I am calling you into and the paralysis that fear manufactures to keep you from moving at all. My stillness carries peace. When I say wait, the instruction comes wrapped in a knowing that the timing is purposeful and the outcome is secure. My wait does not accuse you of inadequacy. My pause does not remind you of your failures. It simply says the ground is not ready yet, but it will be, and when it is, you will know. Fear's stillness carries something entirely different. It says you are not ready and you may never be. It points to every scar you carry as evidence that forward movement is dangerous. It disguises itself as protection, while systematically dismantling the courage I have been rebuilding in you piece by piece. I also need you to hear me about something that has been shifting beneath the surface of your daily experience. Things that once had enormous power over your decisions are beginning to lose their grip. Fears that used to dominate your thinking are growing quieter. Patterns you believed were permanent fixtures of your personality are beginning to reveal themselves as choices rather than chains. Thoughts that seemed unchangeable are starting to show their edges. And, for the first time, you can see that they are not walls but curtains that can be drawn back to let light flood into rooms you thought would always be dark. This is not coincidence, my child. This is the evidence of work I have been doing inside you through every season of your journey, including the ones that felt empty, especially the ones that hurt. What was holding you captive, I have been dismantling. What was blocking your vision, I have been dissolving. And what is emerging in its place is something that more accurately reflects the person I designed you to be from the very beginning. You are not the same person you were 2 years ago. You are not even the same person you were 6 months ago. And in 6 months, beloved, you will look back at this moment and recognize it as one of the turning points where everything shifted. Not because your circumstances changed overnight, but because your awareness changed in the span of a single conversation with the one who has been guiding you since before you knew his name. Type these words now and let them ring through every room of your spirit where old identities are still trying to maintain their lease. I am becoming who God always designed me to be. Speak it into the atmosphere. Let the angels who attend your steps record it as a covenant between your present self and the version of you that heaven has already seen walking in fullness. My beloved child, I must now address the season of unanswered prayer that left deeper marks on your faith than you have allowed yourself to admit. I know there were moments when you cried out with everything inside you, and silence was the only response that came back. I know there were nights when the absence of an answer felt louder than any noise the world had ever produced. And I know that somewhere in that silence, a small seed of doubt planted itself in the soil of your trust, whispering that perhaps I was not listening, perhaps your voice was too small, perhaps the distance between your pain and my throne was too vast for your prayers to cross. Hear me now with every chamber of your heart open, beloved. My silence was never absence. My delay was never neglect. Every prayer you ever released reached me in the instant it left your spirit. There has never been a single cry of your heart that I did not fully understand, fully feel, and fully respond to. But many of those responses could not be delivered until you had grown into the person who could carry them without being crushed by their weight. Some blessings require a foundation of maturity that can only be built through the very seasons of waiting that feel like abandonment. The answers you thought were denied were actually being held, preserved in perfect condition, until the timing aligned with the readiness I was cultivating inside you. And I want you to hear this clearly. You are more ready now than you have ever been. The growth that has been shaping you, the discernment I am strengthening, the trust I am rebuilding, all of it has been preparation for a season of receiving that has been waiting for this exact level of spiritual maturity to arrive in your life. That is precisely why this moment carries such weight, my precious child. The warning I have given you and the promise contained within this scroll are not separate things. They are two sides of the same divine intention. The awareness that protects you from the approaching trap is the same awareness that positions you to receive the blessing that has been waiting behind it. You cannot separate protection from provision. The discernment that saves you from what I am warning you about is exactly the discernment that leads you into what I have been saving for your next season. Now I must speak the charge that this scroll has carried across the ages specifically for this hour of your existence. And I need every part of you, your mind, your spirit, your emotions, your will, to be fully present for what I am about to say, because these words are not suggestions. They are commands issued from the throne of the Almighty and delivered through the mouth of Archangel Michael directly into the core of your being. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, not when circumstances improve. Today, you're being commanded to stop living as though your worth depends on what you produce. Today, you are being ordered to release the pattern of rushing into decisions because stillness feels like failure. Today, you are being charged with the sacred responsibility of protecting the dreams I planted inside you from hands that were never authorized to touch them. Today, you are being instructed to choose the harder road at the approaching crossroads. The road that requires trust, patience, and surrender of control. Because that is the road where everything I have prepared for you is waiting. This is not an invitation you can postpone, beloved. This is not a gentle recommendation that grows softer with time. This is the moment the scroll was sealed for. This is the day the ink was prepared to shine upon. Every season of waiting, every night of unanswered prayer, every pattern of rushing that cost you peace, every burden you carried that was never yours, all of it has been leading here, to this single act of obedience that realigns your entire trajectory with the original design heaven drew for your life before the world began spinning. You're standing at the crossroads right now, my child. Not metaphorically, not in some distant future. The choices you are making in this current season, the way you respond to the approaching situation, the voice you choose to follow when pressure mounts and urgency screams. These are the decisions that will determine whether you enter the fullness of what I have prepared, or take the detour that leads through pain I specifically warned you about. Choose wisely, beloved. Choose with the awareness I have placed inside you today. Choose from the peace that does not rush rather than the fear that does not wait. And know with absolute certainty that when you choose my way, even when it costs you comfort, even when it demands patience, even when the world calls you foolish for trusting what you cannot see, I am standing on the other side of that choice with everything your heart has ever longed for held safely in my hands. Let me tell you now what I see when I look at you, beloved child. Not what you see when the weight of your journey presses down upon your shoulders. Not the version of you that is shaped by comparison, by past failures, by the critical voice that narrates your stumbles louder than your victories. What I see is the person who was designed in the throne room of heaven with intentionality that no human artist has ever matched. I see someone whose strength has been forged in fires that would have destroyed a lesser spirit. I see a soul whose compassion has survived seasons of personal pain that should have made empathy impossible. I see someone who is still here, still listening, still seeking, still showing up in the presence of the divine when walking away would have been so much easier. That is who you are, my precious child. That is the person the scroll was written for. That is the spirit I have been guarding and guiding and preparing for a purpose so magnificent that if I revealed its full scope right now, you would not believe your own ears. But you do not need to see the full scope today. You only need to trust the next step. And the next step is clear. It has been made clear by everything I have spoken over you in this hour. Walk in the awareness I have given you. Choose the road that requires trust over the road that offers comfort. Release what was never yours to carry. Guard what I have planted inside you. And move forward, not in haste, not in fear, not under the pressure of manufactured urgency, but in the steady, unshakable confidence of someone who walks with Archangel Michael at their side and the full authority of heaven covering every step they take. Before I speak the final words of this divine encounter, let me gather the fullness of what has been poured over you today. A sealed scroll has been opened over your life. It revealed the pattern that was keeping you trapped. It named the belief that was chaining your worth to your productivity. It exposed the approaching situation for what it truly is and armed you with the discernment to navigate it safely. It showed you the crossroads and made clear which road carries my blessing. And it declared with the full authority of heaven that you are more than what your struggles have told you, that your season of receiving is not a distant hope, but a present reality being activated by the very awareness you have walked into today. Now carry that blessing forward, beloved. You are not meant to receive this alone. Think of the people in your life who are standing at their own crossroads without a scroll to guide them. Think of the ones who are rushing, because no one ever told them that stillness is not failure. Share this message with at least 4 people who need to hear these words today. Send it as a text to someone who has been quiet lately. Share it in a Facebook group where faith and encouragement are welcome. Forward it in a WhatsApp message to that family member who carries everything alone. You are not just sharing a video. You are delivering a divine appointment to someone whose name is written on a scroll they have not yet received. Every seed of support you plant into this mission carries the weight of heaven's approval. When you visit the link in the description or the pinned comment, you are stepping into a community where believers gather daily to pray, to encourage, to lift one another through the storms of life. Whether you choose to buy a coffee as a gesture of partnership, make a donation that extends the reach of these divine messages to souls who have never heard them, or become a member of this community where prayer walls, daily devotions, and spiritual covering surround you like a fortress. You are doing more than supporting a channel. You are investing in a mission that carries light into the darkest corners of human isolation and despair. Every gift you release plants a torch in someone else's darkness. Every prayer you contribute becomes a shield over a life that had no one else covering them. And now, if you have heard these words and you know in the deepest part of your spirit that this message was not an accident, if you sense that the voice of Archangel Michael is a voice you were meant to walk with beyond this single conversation, subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell. Make that decision right now, beloved, because the scroll that was opened today is not the last one. There are more, and each one carries truth that is specifically timed for the exact moment of decision you will be facing when it arrives. Almighty Father, I stand before your throne as the guardian of this precious soul who has listened with an open heart and a willing spirit. I ask you to seal every word that was spoken today into the foundations of their understanding, where no voice of doubt can reach it. Place your hand upon the approaching situation and redirect every current that was designed to pull this child off the path you prepared. Strengthen their discernment so that the counterfeit never again passes as genuine in their sight. Multiply the seeds they have planted and return to them, blessing upon blessing until their cup overflows, and the overflow becomes provision for others. Walk with them through the crossroads. Stand with them in the stillness. Cover them in the waiting, and bring them safely into the fullness of everything you sealed in the scroll before their name was spoken into existence. In your holy and sovereign name, it is done. Amen.